Hello everybody, welcome back to the Palmetto State Geckos YouTube channel. I'm Trey with Palmetto State Geckos. Today I have a very special guest. I have my daughter, Kaylin. She's here with me today because we're going to talk about something that's very dear to both of us. We're going to talk about super giants. Why super giants for us? Well, because we're both super giant. I am 6'7", about 340 pounds. She's 7 and she's almost 5 foot tall. So something near to us. We're going to talk about super giants and should you own one? Is there health risks to the giants? And we've talked to a couple breeders. We've gone through the steps and we've done some research. So today we'll talk through those and we'll look at some geckos. Kaylin, why do you like super giants?
They're big, they're beautiful, and they're cool.
Very nice. So sit back, relax. I hope you enjoy it. Remember to subscribe, hit the alert so you get new videos, and let's find out what we think about super giants. Super giants. Let's talk technicalities and specifications. What makes a super giant? We're going to get into murky water here because there's two factions. So let's start with super giant size. Super giant for weight, female should be 80 plus grams. Male should be 90 plus grams. Again, I didn't write these rules. Somebody wrote these rules, and whoever wrote these rules says that they're the professional. Nobody's the professional. There's not a real science that's been put together to track all of this. So we'll talk the technical side of it. Measurement. Female should be 8 plus inches. Male should be 10 plus inches. I got a super giant right now. It's 11 and a half, almost 12. Normal geckos will usually be mature about a year, just past a year, hold the same weight. A super giant keeps growing until it's almost 2 years old. That's a good indication for me then. If you're trying to note, is mine a super giant? If it keeps going, that's great. Now, anybody can make a fat gecko. If you have a super giant, you should be very responsible with how you feed it. When we talk the health issues, those health issues are most likely, in my opinion, because you overfed the gecko, because that you just kept letting it eat and eat and eat and eat until it got unhealthy. It's unhealthy for a human being to be overweight, for a dog to be overweight, for a cat to be overweight. It's unhealthy for any animal to be overweight. In the wild, in the desert, they're not going to be overweight. They are going to eat very minimal and they're going to be skinny. So don't overfeed your gecko. And then I believe you won't see these health issues. Also, you have to know the lineage of your gecko to be able to say it's super giant. And again, I'm going the genetic line of people that say super giant's a gene. They want you to be able to say that the parents were super giants, both parents were super giants, so you know it's a super giant. Now, I say that that's important because if you know both parents were a super giant and had big size, you know it's going to be. There's a lot of people that will take a super giant or what's supposed to be a super giant and breed it to a normal, and you'll see a lot of these possibles. If you're really going to be serious about super giants, stay clear of that. Get a super giant from somebody who knows both parents, and then both parents before that were super giants. So you don't have to worry about all of this jargon if it was genetic or if it's line bred, because you know it was line bred. You can see the parents. Look at the parents, look at the grandparents, see what the size is. So super giant female should reach 70, 90 grams by 12 months. Now, if you breed a female at a year, you're going to stunt her growth. Again, that's common sense. If something's still growing and you tap into all of the nutrition that it's getting to create life and eggs, you're going to get pulled away from the growing side of that animal. So you're going to stunt the growth. So some worry that males have the same problem. If you breed them they stunt their growth, which can happen if you let that male go off of food. I have found that if males mate, they don't go off of food very often. You can get them to get back to food. You should try and push to get them. Now, I have found that if males don't successfully mate, they go off the food and because they're angry and that's all they're focused on is getting that mate in, and they won't eat. So if you get your supergiant to actually your male to mate, I believe you can keep going. It happened with Odin. I didn't know all of that when I went into it, and I bred him, but he kept growing. He kept growing 10 grams every month because I kept him eating. The females I have, they are about a year and a half, and they had already tried to be bred, or I bred them, so they stunned a little bit, but they still hover just over 80. But now I'm putting a lot of focus in getting big females. So next year I will have extremely large females. So you have those people who think it's a gene, and that also goes for Ron Tremper. Ron Tremper believes, who started the Super Giants with Moose, that it's a gene. And he's said now that he doesn't believe that there's a such thing as a giant. There's either super giant and het for super giant. I believe, and then when you talk to Julie, I've talked to Julie recently, Bergman, who took over Ron's collection. She believes the same thing. They believe that you can have a super giant and you can have a gecko that's het for super giant. The other side of that coin are the people that believe it's line bred, which makes more sense to me. Now, why is there an argument? And I've said this before, because it's easier if it could be a gene and a het than it is to line breed. It's hard to find two giant males, and then you got to raise up all the babies and see where they're going to get to so you don't accidentally give away the largest, and you could have used that one to make even bigger. It's harder. So I'm leaning more towards this line bred because, like Jeff Galewood told me, it takes a lot of genes to do size. Like, you look at me, there's no one gene in me that said, hey, this guy's going to be huge. Other parts of me had to be involved in that. So I lean towards that. So to hedge my bets, I make sure that any of my super giants were from super giants and from large animals. And then I breed large animals, and I watch and I make sure that I have large animals. You can be on either side. In my idea, I hit down the middle and I play both sides just to cover all my bases. There are people that are fanatical about it, just like anything else in leopard geckos and in life, and they will ostracize you if you think otherwise. So, be careful what you talk about and who you talk to if you're in Facebook, because you can get kicked out of stuff for that. So, but we all know that. Personality. Super giants are docile. Now skittish a little bit. I haven't had any, I take that back. I have one female that's a little aggressive, but I can't tell if that's just food or her. And she's from Gecko Boa, and she's bit me twice very easily, not anything too bad. She's still young. So it could just be food. But my biggest male, he's a baby. He's never once, even during breeding season, even thought about biting. Very gentle with the females that he was with. When you hold him, he just sits there and hangs out. But would he rather be back in his enclosure? Yes, he'd rather be back any day of the week. I found all of them, once you get them out, they just chill and hang out. They're not squirmy. They don't go nuts. But again, just like most, they like to be up. I do have one that likes to be out, and he's pretty cool. We'll show him a little bit later. Health. As far as health goes, I've talked to a bunch of people. I talked to Kevin at Mutant. He had one that died randomly at 2 years old. And he'll tell you it could have been from anything. It could have been just like any other gecko. He's not 100% sure what happened. He's got one that's 5 years old. George at Elite Gecko in the UK. He's got one that's 4 or 5, I believe, that passed away. They'll tell you they think probably, but again, I don't know. I haven't seen enough. I keep asking who's seen the oldest, what's the oldest. I talked to Julie Bergman again, and she says she's never seen a health issue that a supergiant has over other ones. So, it's more research I have to do into that. Again, I wholly believe with any animal that's larger, there's a chance for health issues. You have Great Danes, they're big dogs. They have heart issues because you've made really, really big animals. Most of them have heart problems by 8 or 9 years old. So is it safe to say you can truncate the 20 years of a gecko's life but you can do that by breeding? It's still something that has to be looked into. But if you feed your gecko way too much and you try to hit that 200-gram mark by stuffing food down them, you're going to kill that gecko after a while. It's going to happen. So you have to be mature and you have to be safe when it comes to how you feed your geckos. I personally tongue feed my supergiants every day so I know how much they've ate and I can keep track. And I weigh them once a month. I don't weigh them every day to track their growth. And I check them and I watch them and I make sure they get the vitamins and nutrients. I think because of the rate that they grow, they need it more. So you make sure they have the multivitamins like Gut Load, all of them, all of my mealworms. I feed them mealworms and super worms. But other than that, so far, I haven't seen issues. And from the people that I've talked to, they haven't seen terrible issues. So when it comes to that, it's still, there's still time to find out about that. But as far as them being unhealthy, I haven't seen one that's unhealthy. Mating. They mate just like a normal gecko. Can you mate them to normals? Yes, you can, and it happens just like normal. Males are a little bit more successful because they're larger. I haven't done a female supergiant to a male normal. It would probably be fairly difficult. But again, if you're trying to make something new, that's when you should do that. And then you have to really be selective about if you're trying to make a new type of morph for a supergiant, you're going to have to do a lot of work, and it's going to take a couple years because you're going to have to grow those geckos out, and you're going to have to see the largest ones and then take that back and breed it, and then take that back and breed it. But they make great pets. As far as, breeding and raising, I've had no issues with them. Breeding for females seems to be exactly the same as a normal. I've had one female that has been phenomenal, and the other female, she bred the entire time, but her eggs weren't the greatest. But again, she's a first year, so that's expected. It's gonna happen. All right, well, let's talk about morphs. What kind of supergiant should you get? Can you get Bell supergiants? Yes, there are people that have put in the work and they've done all their test breeding and they have Bell supergiants. It started the trimper. Moose was a trimper, of course, because 90% of everything started as trimper. So it took time. Darren at Calico Geckos, he works really hard. He's got a lot of geckos. He's been doing this for a while, and he's bred it out. I have a prime example, and you'll see later, of Bell supergiants that bred all year long, and all the geckos are perfectly Bell albino and absolutely gorgeous. They're some of the prettiest babies I've ever seen. As far as size goes, again, my Bell supergiant is pretty big. He's 110, 111, maybe 114 grams. I'll have to weigh him. And he's barely a year. So we'll see at 2 years how big he gets. Is he going to be the biggest gecko? Maybe not. He's built awesome. He's like a little alligator in your hand. That's the big thing about supergiants is you can definitely, when you hold one, there's all these people that will say, oh, my gecko's 80 grams and he's 3 years old and he's got to be super. Go find somebody who has a legitimate supergiant that they know and look at it, and you will see the difference. You will see that one is much larger. As in trimper, you can get a lot more different morphs now. It was for a while that just a plain regular trimper was the only thing you could get, but there's been a lot of work and a lot of people doing a lot of really good things. I have several different trimpers that you'll see in a little bit that are high contrast. Well, I don't want to say bold, but striped. They're beautiful, and they have really big size. I have one that you'll see later that is going to be amazing for next year. He's going to set records, I believe. So you can, then you can put in your own work. If you want to make a rainwater, again, Darren has done a lot of that. He has rainwater and het rainwaters. I have a Black Knight Super Giant female. I should be getting a male soon. And then I'll start doing the work of making the larger and the larger and the larger ones of those. There's all types of morphs you can find in Super Giant. Okay, breeders. There are a couple really good Super Giant breeders. Darren at Calico, Elite Gecko in Europe. Dave at DC Gecko has a colossal line. I don't know if it's necessarily Super Giant line, but it's larger. Kevin at Mutant Gecko, he breeds Super Giants. He works really hard at that. He does all kind of crazy things over there. He does. Of course, Julie Bergman and Ron at Ron Trimpers, they have Super Giants. I just got a female from them. We'll show in a little bit. I love. It's amazing. Steve Sykes, of course, has the Godzilla line. Right now, that's the largest in the world. What's his name? I'll have to find his name and I'll say it later. But the largest one is Thor over in Germany right now. He is some crazy 180 grams and puts out babies that are just massive. He's got a female that I begged him to try to sell me, but he won't send to America. So there are a lot of people that are breeding. So make sure if you're going to get a Super Giant, you talk to people and you talk to them and you find out where they got what and who they got it from. And I want to see the parents. I want to see the parents' weight. I want to see what they look like. I have done a really good job of getting very nice Super Giants. So I feel confident with the Super Giants that I'm growing that people will be very happy with what they get if it comes from me. If you're going to breed Super Giants, you have to be careful because you can never promise somebody that they're going to be massive because you don't know. There's always a chance that even though the parents are massive, some of the babies won't be. You have to monitor their growth and you have to give a disclaimer, just like with a Black Knight. Is this Super Giant going to be huge? I hope so. The parents are huge. I put a lot of work and effort into it to make this baby huge. So, and price that accordingly. If they're younger, they should be cheaper just like everything else. As they get larger, expect that the price is going to go up because you're getting facts. Hey, this is getting bigger. I know this is going to be big. You're not going to be able to get a cheap Super Giant. Don't expect to get a $200 Super Giant and that Super Giant is going to be the biggest in the world or break the record. Try not to do that. That could be the case. You might get lucky. But there's going to be, you got to, anything worth having it's going to cost money. So do your due diligence. Talk to people. There's people out there that aren't really in it for the money. I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to make beautiful geckos, and especially with Super Giants, I'm really trying to make the largest. His first month they hit that 10 grams. That's on track. Second month they hit that 10 grams. That's on track. That's on track for a Super Giant. If they go 10 grams every month, by 12 months they're going to be 120 grams. They're going to be where they're at. Now, when you're looking at growth of a baby Super Giant, it's not going to always be right off the bat huge. They can go slow, they can build, and then they hit a growth spurt and super big. Same thing, they start off super big and then they can slow down. Feeding a Super Giant. When they're babies, you feed them every day. feed them a little bit, work their way up to more until they're about a year. Then you can go every other day. Like I said, you want to watch their weight. If they're getting skinny, keep feeding them. Keep doing what you're supposed to. They should never get skinny. Unless you stop feeding them for 2 months, they should never get skinny. But, don't overfeed them. If you see their tails are getting too fat, slow it back some. Don't overtreat them. When you feed them, make them work for it. I make Odin work for it and chase and do certain stuff. Housing. There hasn't any science been proven to housing and affecting the size, but just in case, I keep Odin, my Bell Supergiant, my first male, in a 40-gallon. Just in case, walking around and moving around in that large of an aquarium makes a difference on the size. Now, I have to test that with other ones. I don't know. It could be that's just the way he was meant to be. He's only going to be that size. I keep all the rest of them in 28 quarts, large, room to maneuver, things to go over top of. But they're, you want them to be comfortable moving around, especially if they get extremely large. You're not going to be able to keep them in a smaller, maybe like a 16 quart, because there's a good chance they're going to be as large as that 16 quart. So be responsible when it comes to that too. You want to give them enough room to move around. So 28 quart, 32, that's about minimum that I would keep a really giant male in. All right, before we start showing some of these super giants so that you could pick out maybe, hey, this is what, but should you own a super giant? Absolutely. They are fantastic animals. They're fantastic geckos. As if geckos couldn't get any better, boom, you have a super giant that's even larger. And when you've held a super giant, go find one. Go to a show, find somebody who's going to be one, find a breeder, see if they're close to you, and go see one. It'll blow your mind. It's completely different. I've had people come over and friends come over, and I've showed them. I've got a large gecko, a large normal gecko, and he's about 75 grams. And they're like, oh, yeah, man. I'm like, yeah, that's a big 3-year-old, good-sized male gecko. And then I hand them a super giant. They're like, oh, shit, it's not even in the same ballpark. And they're not that much big, maybe 20-gram difference. But the size is so massively different. Look at my site. Look at some of the pictures with my hands. My hands are extremely big. It's hard to tell of this, but kind of show you. Here I am, an American again, using everything but the metric system to measure. But a full size, huge plus iPhone. But a super giant will go from here to about here in my hand. So it's something really incredible to see. So yes, go see one, get one. If you want a collection, if you're collecting leopard geckos, you have to have one. You can pick morphs, but you have to have a normal and a super giant, and you will see that you will enjoy that super giant. Having them out is fun. They're a blast. I wouldn't worry about the health. It's not like you're running a bad morph that's going to give them tumors or something that's going to kill them. You can be responsible and they can live just as long, 10, 11, 12 years, we'll see. Maybe in 10 years I'll do a video again and say, hey, I was wrong. All of them died in 3 years. But I doubt it. I look at them every day, and they're just as healthy, if not healthier than the other ones. They're just as mobile and active and smart. I don't see any difference. So when it comes to genetics, pick your battles. But in my opinion, it's best to toe both lines. Buy geckos that came from breeders that have super giants and extremely large geckos, and line breed them, and if you're going to breed them to big geckos. So you cover all your bases. Thank you for being on here. Enjoy these geckos. All right, everybody, we're going to take a look at some of the super giants we have here at Palmetto State Geckos. I have Kaylin, my daughter, back with me. This one we have here is John. He's a Max Snow Snake Eye Eclipse. He's 46 grams already, and he won't be 4 months until next week. So if you remember the age progression we talked about, you want to see 10 grams per month. And right now he's ahead of track. So he's doing really good. Kaylin, what do you think about this one?
He's yellow. He has dots. and
He has a good disposition.
yeah.
We like holding him. He's a little crazy right now inside the box because he's an adventurer. He's one of those ones that likes to walk around and look and see things.
I know.
So he made it more difficult for me. But we like these kind. They have spirit. This one also has a heart on his tail. It's hard to see from this video. If you look at our Instagram, you can zoom in. I have a picture on there where you zoom in and you can see his dots form a heart. He's going to be big. There's not very many eclipse snows out there like this. He's going to be special, and especially when you see who we're going to be putting him to next year. He's got a great girlfriend. She's going to be really nice. I hope you enjoy the background we made here. We're trying to do things a little bit different, trying to make it easier for us. But as you can see, he's still trying to make it more difficult. But nobody ever said shooting Leos are easy, right?
Yep.
Well, this one is Scotto. She's a max super snow eclipse or a total eclipse. She's making it easy for me. She just sits there and is going to let me take a good picture of her. She's 44 grams at 4 months. She'll be 4 months again next week. So she's ahead of schedule. This is big because she's a female. Females don't get normally as big as the male. But she's gorgeous. A lot of people like this super snow eclipse where you're getting the patterns on there with the white. People call it pie. I don't necessarily call it pie. I believe that's a different gene. Eclipse is what's doing this. So it's eclipse. It's causing the zero pattern. What do you think of her?
Well, I really like these ones because I like how white they are and their dots that are black. I just really like it.
Yeah, me too. I really like when you cross these. We have a cross that's crossed a black knight that makes that base back color more gray and steel colored. A lot of people are doing a lot of hard work. My buddy Jay over at Eco Gecko is doing really hard work at making solid black and solid white in one gecko, and he's doing amazing things. All right, here's Big Daddy. This is Odin. Odin's my first super giant. He's just over a year old, 13 months. He's a blood bell radar, which is pretty rare. There's more out this year than there were at the beginning of the year, but when I acquired him, there were only 8, and Darren owned the other 7. So he's big. He's 114 grams. He's still got about a year left of growing. He's very docile. He likes to be to himself, but he doesn't mind being held. When you hold him, he just sits there. Of course, the light is bothering him, so he's got his eyes closed and he's just wandering around aimlessly. So we won't keep him out too long. What I'll do here is show him in my hands to kind of give you an aspect of how big he is. I showed my hands earlier for relation. What do you think of Odin?
Well, I like it. It's yellow, and I like how its tail is because there's like lots of different colored dots.
Yeah, his tail is pretty cool. All right, now we're moving to Tremper. This is Hercules. Hercules is a high contrast, extreme emerine. He's got like a reverse stripe down the middle. This is gorgeous. And when you talk about super giants, this is new stuff. This isn't the same old Tremper. He's beautiful and he's getting big. He's already 32 grams and he won't be 3 months until the 26th. So he's getting big. He's going to have big size on him also. I'm very happy with where he's going. I've got a female that's very similar. She's a little younger, so she's a little smaller. Probably will breed next year. We'll see. Depends on how they go. But he's an amazing morph when you talk about. What do you think about his morph? What he looks like?
Well, it looks like a banana. I like it, and it's cool.
All right. So this is the female that we just got in. It's Cleopatra. She's a tangerine Tremper super giant. She's from Julie Bergman and Ron Tremper. I wanted to go get a big female, and I was direct descendant from Moose. She's big. She's 1 year old. She's 72 grams. So she should at least put 20, 30 grams on between now and 2 years. So if that happens, I'll be happy. Tangerine's hard to see a little bit, but it's there. It's not just straight yellow. She's big. Her frame is big. She's not fat. This is I'm going to put to the next male, and we're going to do huge things. What do you think of her?
It looks really cool at the top, and I love its tail.
Yeah, she's big, right?
Yeah, she's very big.
Yeah, she like to walk around in this one. She's relatively new, but she's taken very easily, which, it goes to show how much hard work Ron and Julie, this is the second gecko I've gotten from them, and all of them have been awesome. This is in my hands just to kind of show she's long, she's perfect weight, she's going to be a big girl. And so I'm hoping with this big boy you're about to see here, they're going to be big babies. Now this is Anubis, a Cyrus line, white and yellow, white trimper. He's gorgeous. He's so big. He is 56 grams and not even 3 months old. So when we talk about the progression of 10 grams a month, he is way ahead. 56 grams, no fat, very long. You'll see in a second when I pick him up. He's huge, right?
Yeah, he's huge.
He's big. He's got some tangerine that's filling in some of these open areas. But Darren's going to wish he didn't sell this one to me because I have a feeling he's going to push. His dad's 178 grams. So he's going to be a big boy. This is the future for palmetto state geckos right here. When we talk about size, he's just massive. What do you think of that, baby?
It looks really cool, and I love the patterns, and I love how there's like 2 squares on his back.
Yeah, that's the open lavender spots.
I just really like it.
Well, I thank you, because I really like him too. Yeah, no, he's going to be special. He's, like I said, next year, we'll see if we breed him. I probably will. But him specifically, I'm working on size. So every day I take him out, feed him. He feeds great temperament. Just a great gecko all around. You'll see here now, I put him in my hand, and he's just huge. He's already not even 3 months old and longer than my hand. It's just a massive animal. All right, this last one is going to be our future project. It's going to be a lot of work. She has no name yet. We're going to pick something. You wanted Batman, but it's a girl, so that's not going to work.
That's why I said Batgirl.
So we have a Black Knight, Super Giant. This is crossed with moose line trimpers from Ron, and she's 5 weeks old. She's 15 grams. She's very long and lanky. She hasn't even started to put size on, and she's already in the right range. She's very pretty. She's very camouflaged right now. So there's a second she'll walk out of there, but she's a great little gecko. This is the lightest she's been. She's been darker. So that's good for me. If she stays at least this dark, I'm happy. But now this is where the hard work starts. I'll have a male here shortly. We'll start breeding and take the bigger males and bigger females and darker and back and forth until eventually we have a 200-gram Black Knight. That's the hard work for me. This is our big project. You're going to help me with that. Talking to you.
I really like how it looks. It's black, and I like how it's black.
But you like that it's black?
Yes.
You sure?
And she's very pretty.
She is very pretty. She's very docile too. A lot of the Black Knights that I have are just like her. They're very simple. This one is super healthy, long, beautiful tail. I'm very happy to have her.
She's very cute too.
Yeah, she's got a great face. She's almost got a purple head. It's pretty neat.
No wonder she blends in.
Yeah, she's matching perfect with black and purple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's going to be a lot of future work, but that's something I wanted to do. I got all the geckos I needed, and now I've got a project, and it's right up the alley of what we want. So what I want to do is I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I want to thank my beautiful daughter for helping me. She's absolutely a saint and the greatest thing to ever happen to me. So we make these videos and she gets to smile and laugh. All right, babe. So what should we tell everybody?
Hit the subscribe button if you like this video and hit the thumbs up.
Yep. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe. Hit an alert so you know when new videos are there. We'll keep making new content, and we really appreciate everybody that supported us, everybody that enjoys these videos. We'll keep them rolling.
Thank you.